Welcome to Love and Relo, everybody, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I have a fun show today talking to a friend of mine, Ben Heller, CEO of PricePoint. Had to do some things on the fly. Ben was cool enough to come on and chat with me. I always enjoy picking his brain about things and talking the relo biz. Before we get started with Ben, though, I want to go ahead and plug the book of the month for June called White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. Great book by Robin DiAngelo. And we're going to be having our book club on Thursday, July 2nd. We still have a spot in the book club. So if you've listened to it on Audible, or if you've bought it from my good friend Janet Webster Jones at Source Booksellers, Detroit, 313-832-1155, sourcebooksellers@gmail.com. Please go ahead and message me. Let me know you'd like to be on. It's not about the rise and fall of the paper napkin industry. It is about whiteness, white privilege, and all sorts of stuff like that. That's extremely difficult to talk about. So there's a few people out there that have the courage to do so, and I'm just really excited to have this conversation on Thursday. With that being said, let me see if I can put this back. I always struggle to get this on the shelf, and I hope it doesn't fall over. It's usually a very bad look when it does. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Ben Heller out. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ben. How are you doing today?
I am so happy that you are here right now. You saved my butt, okay? I literally called you like 15 minutes ago. My white fragility fell over. It's like
bad sign, Ben.
It's an analogy. It's like oh my gosh. Oh my God. I knew that was going to happen.
15 minutes notice. That was pretty tight. Next time, give me 20, okay?
I'm like, Ben, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. What are you doing? I'm like, hey, I need a guest. You want to come on? You want to talk about something? He's like, yeah, let's talk.
Sure.
No, live on camera. That'd be super. Oh gosh, Ben, thank you so much. You're a true friend. I appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here. You know, I've got a lot of love for you. I always enjoy our conversations. So let's make something happen. Let's get interesting. What are we going to talk about today?
Let's get interesting. I like that. You know what? That's a great way to frame this. Hey, everybody, if you're watching right now, go ahead and shout out your company, where you're at. Put yourself in the comments there, be heard. Let's go ahead and give Ben a round of applause. Hit that little applause emoji. Let him know you're out there. Maybe hit that little heart one. Give him the Bieber,
You had me until you said the Bieber. I'm down with hearts. I'm just the Bieber.
Like the guy that really brought it center focus. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well, you're giving credit where it's due, I guess. So cheers
to
the Biebs, I guess.
Yeah, Christy Saluga. Hi, Benz.
Hey, Christy, how are you?
Salute. Jamie Massler checking in. Hi, Ben and Ben. Cheers from very sunny Mississippi. Jamie, good to have you, buddy. Christy, Ben's to you both. Jane Woolston. Hi, Ben and Ben. Hey, Jane, friend of the show. Appreciate you. Simon Johns, hi, the two Bens from the UK. Everybody's digging the two Bens. Ben squared. Growing. That's so funny. Now let me ask you a math problem, Ben. Is Ben squared greater than, equal to, or less than Ben times Ben?
Well, if there were three Bens. No, I don't know the answer to this.
No, actually, I think it's equal to.
I was going to go with back to equal to. Yeah.
Mena Elsfori, maybe a better question would be greater to, equal than, or equal to, greater than, equal to, or less than Ben plus Ben. That actually probably.
It's definitely more than that. Yeah.
Definitely more than that.
Yeah, like Ben, let's keep it real. Like I did algebra in high school. I did calculus in college, and I've forgotten everything about it. I know how to use a VLOOKUP in a pivot table in Excel, and that's about the limitations of my math ability.
If you can do a VLOOKUP in a pivot table, you should be able to answer this question. So that would therefore mean that Ben is defined as greater than 1, which I think we have to unpack that in a later show. Dan Bagley, hi Ben from Baggage Hub in the UK. What up, Dan? Let's see. We got Mena from Dubai. We got Jason Rollins. Hello from Mass. Thanks for stepping up, Ben. And Ben, I'm assuming Ben Heller stepped up. I'm just the parenthetical reference. Amanda Rakowski. Hi from Phoenix, NEI. Look at this. Bringing them out. Got some talk there. Shabina, greetings from Shabina in London from the apartment service. Hello to both of you. Hello, Shabina.
Hi.
Fernando Donadon from NetMove Brazil. Do you know Fernando?
Not really. Not well.
Me either. I'd like to get to know you better, Fernando. Chuck Langley. Hello, Chuck from Weichert Workforce Mobility here, home in Plymouth, Mass. Today. Nice. Laura Mia Nagazian. Hi, guys. Greetings from hot NYC. Is it hot there in the city there, Ben?
It's like 84. It's beautiful out today.
It's hot in Manhattan. It's always like 10 degrees hotter in Manhattan because the buildings and stuff, and they radiate all this heat.
Yeah.
And then the subway, forget about it, right? Forget about it. Janet's telling me I'm blurry. You know what? I'm sorry, y'all. Am I really? I'm blurry?
Yeah, you're blurry and your video isn't moving for me, but I'm full emotion. I should be more animated.
Then you should stand up and you should get it around a little bit, a little energy, you know. Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it.
I'll just get in closer. I forgot my tie.
It's okay. No, it's fine. I know this is short notice. Michael checking in. Joanna Alpert.
Hey,
you know what? Let me tell you a story about Joanna Alpert. Little known
Please
fact.
do.
Okay. Love Joe. Joe and I went to high school together.
Really?
In White Plains, New York. Shout out White Plains, WP, home of the Tigers. Okay?
That's where my dad's from.
Is he really?
Yeah. Small.
Did he go to White Plains High School?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. So Joe and I saw each other at an MSI Executive Forum meeting in Chatham Bars, probably 6 years ago or something like that. We just ran into each other, and it was like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" You know. And then we just kind of like caught up and stuff, and you know, it's been neat seeing each other. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. So.
I don't have a very interesting Joanna story, except that I find her to be super intelligent and considered hiring her, and it just didn't work out. But I think she's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Leo Capitordo, hi Ben, ×2 from
Leo?
St. Louis. What up, Leo? Hosea Botley, hello Ben and Ben from St.
Jose.
All right, Paul Bernhardt, Amsterdam calling. I pick up that call.
It's late for Amsterdam.
Viva Van Bockel. Hello, Benz. You look sharp, Mr. Heller, and you too, Mr. Cross. I like how I'm a second. I like how you're ahead of me and the look sharp. You look sharp, Mr. Heller. Wow. God,
no, he's just being nice. Viva's a wonderful salesperson. He knows how to make me feel good.
I thought the Dutch were like very direct, and that was a very yeah. White Plains, shout out. Don't tell them about chemistry class, Broswell, or biology. I don't think it was chemistry. It was biology. Yeah, it was biology. Wollstonecraft, I think it was. Yeah, it's fine. And she, oh God, that class was terrible. Hi, Ben and Ben. Glad to be here with you. Happy times from Western New York. So, Ben, I appreciate you coming on last minute. This is awesome. We talked a little bit in the green room, as we say in the biz.
Yeah.
About 4 things you wanted to chat about. And please, if you're watching this right now, please leave a comment, leave a question, let us know, and we will ask Ben Heller this question. He will be forced to answer or endure public scrutiny or whatever. But also we got four things that Ben wanted to talk about. So top 4 things that the Bens wanted to talk about today on a happy Monday, June 29th. Number 4, sizzle versus steak. Ben Heller.
Yeah. So, I'm a big fan of the show. I watch it when I have time, and I watched you with John Zilka a week or 2 ago. And one of the points that you made was that all of these technology solutions that are out there, they're being really invested to sell well, that they're flashy. And I've seen this like firsthand. When I was at Accenture and I ran their global mobility consulting practice, I saw a lot of corporate mobility presentations, and I noticed that from the mobility and procurement stakeholders in the room, they responded to technology with like almost a lack of reason. It was an emotional thing. They're like, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is amazing. And like all the spreadsheets, all the analytics that we did to evaluate the suppliers sort of went out the window, and they just got connected to these things. And I think that you resent that a little bit. Rightfully so. Like you're like, why do people buy things that they're just flashy front end and there's no stake there? Did I get it right? Like,
yes, 100%. People are, there's like this enigmatic quality of a beautiful user interface, and people don't even understand what it does.
Mhm.
And there's technology companies out there right now in our space that are approaching companies saying, hey, let me do your technology for you. I have this amazing platform. I have blockchain. I can go ahead and I can just fold in your operations into my blockchain, and I can blockchain it up, and then we'll blockchain it out and then blockchain around, and it'll be amazing. Don't worry about it. And then people fall for this stuff
Yeah.
because they hear buzzwords and they see a little gooey, and they get all weird,
Yeah.
and it's like, guys, we're running companies here that are processing thousands of transactions, and we can't just like on a lark and a cute little interface just like invest in these ridiculous technologies. So yeah, I it's absurd. And then as a service provider who is actually forced to do more work when
Mhm.
these interfaces are implemented in these portals and these whatevers, and all this money, time, effort, focus is spent on the front end stuff and at the expense of actually making the operation side of the business more efficient,
Mhm.
and helping service providers and helping improve communication and double data entry and data security and all the things that we know are important, and it's all invested in the front end. And then to see and hear the anecdotal evidence around the take rate on this and how many people actually utilize these systems and stuff.
Mhm.
It's just, to me, it's just like it's the biggest sham that's being perpetrated right now. Oh my gosh, it's a sham.
Well, it's so I wouldn't go sham. I wouldn't go that.
Sham.
So
Sham.
I've seen shams where it's not even a working demo. It's sort of like the visualization of the product.
A wireframe.
Yeah,
Somebody comes in with a wireframe. They're like, oh, it
yeah.
could do this, it could do that. And if you rub it, it'll give you 3 wishes.
I've seen that wireframe. I'm a big fan. But no, I'm with you. Like I understand, and the reason why it connected with me is because I'd like to think we're stake. That like you talked about the stake of reducing operational costs and integrating with the supply chain, and I'd like to think that's what we do at PricePoint. I also think that the reason why that doesn't get a lot of love is because it's really hard. You can't just build out a platform and go sell it. You have to go and work with all of your partners to get them to operate in it and have them change, and so that the systems are optimized to connect to one another. You have to allocate development resources to integrating and APIing between these systems. And in the moving industry, like it seems like how many different moving management platforms are there? It's we're got to be in the dozens, and they don't really talk to each other. Most of them aren't even in the cloud yet. And I know, like, so I mean, VBay is on the call today. Paul's on the call. Like, they're all starting to work with more of these and actually create more of these that are in the cloud. But it's still extremely difficult to do that, and it requires a much greater emphasis on partnership and aligning a lot of people and getting them all to invest resources into these things that can make great things happen. But that is not easy. It is so much easier to go and build something in a silo by yourself and allocate enough money to make it look beautiful. And really, I've talked with a bunch of relocation management company CEOs and presidents about, like, have they ever won any business by the way they manage their supply chain? And the answers I get back are no, or maybe once. And so how are they supposed to go and allocate $2 million to solving a problem that doesn't net them any increased revenue on the growth side? Sure, maybe it reduces their operating costs a little bit, but really they're passing that on to their supply chain, and those supply chains are passing it back to their clients. So it's a really hard problem to solve. And I'd like to think we're part of the solution and helping integrate with all these companies in a way that brings the steak and not just sizzle.
I blame salespeople. Okay. If if you say you haven't won any business because you invested money in technology that made your supply chain more efficient, and you can't get a client to buy off on that, then I blame the storyteller because it's a great story. So what's the problem? I blame the storyteller because if you can't make people understand that my lower cost is your cost savings, my my velocity of service delivery is your customer experience, then that's on the salesperson.
All right, so I agree with you to some extent. But that, first off, that's a hard thing to sell because it's a problem that most people don't really care or think about that much. And so you have to like educate to the problem before you can really prove the solution. And even then, you can't really prove it because how can you prove that your prices or the way you manage the supply chain actually drives a material benefit to your client over what someone else says? It's really difficult to actually go and explore and look at what you've done on your operational supply chain side and the management of those logistics and how you do it better. It's, if I'm a customer, do I care? Like, I care more about my transferee. I care about like my internal team. I care. I want my transferees to be treated amazingly. And this is like maybe 10th, 12th, 15th on my priority list. I don't know if it's a bad salesman thing. I appreciate you doing a Michael Jackson man in the mirror kind of moment there. Like, I can do better. Like it's great, but like I just don't.
Well, that's where you got to tell the story. You got to tell the story. So if you're talking to people who are actually involved in the service delivery, and I know and I understand that this is a problem too because they're not always in the room, right? Because if procurement's driving this, right, they're not. The practitioners are not always in the room.
Yeah.
But you have to tell the story of how it is normally done and the telephone game and the barrage of emails, facsimiles, and mimeographs that are sent in order to move a transferee, and talk about the potential pitfalls and talk about all of the redundancies and talk about all of the data security, issues that we have with this. I mean, people are still asking us if we institute a clean desk policy because that's the best way to keep people's information secure. A clean desk policy, well, why the hell do I have it on my desk in the first place?
Right.
Because nobody sent it to me electronically, or they sent it to me in a flat file like a PDF, and I had to print it out, and I was sitting on my desk, and supposedly the Russians are going to walk by and snag it from me off my desk. So I think that these are the stories we have to tell, and the fact that you're laughing is because it resonates. And I think that people, when they hear it, be like, that makes sense. So I think, and my dad, look at my dad. My dad's keying in on the keywords here. He's sharp. He's real sharp. Mimeographs. Yeah, it was funny. It was a funny example. My dad, love my dad so much. Let's see what Jack Jampel says. Jack says, this is because most companies that design global mobility tech solutions think they know what we need instead of doing real research on what we really need. So much of it is really just an extra credit for RFPs. 100%. And you describe the development process as you're creating it in a silo. And it's easy to create front end stuff because you can do it in a silo. You have no internal stakeholders with front end.
Yeah. So what Jack is talking about, he's completely right. Jack's super smart guy, and he knows this industry as well as anyone. So what I have seen in our industry is a lack of product management or directors of product. And really what that role, I think, is the most important role in any company, and especially for our industry, which hasn't developed products at the same rates as other industries. So a product manager's role is really to ask those questions, to talk with people like Jack and his team and the transferees to understand what's important to them, and then work with the user experience people, user interaction people, your product team that's actually going to develop it, and so that you meet the requirements of people like Jack. And that, I think, I still see a gap between mobility companies and technology companies, in that they don't have that person there. Jack's 100% right. There needs to be more of those type of people. And generally, they need to be like the smartest person in your organization, because they have to be able to speak and software engineer, as well as be a really great human at the emotional elements and ask great questions. And that is a hard person to find, but it's super important.
Right, because typically an engineer doesn't possess some of those empathetic traits, right? Some of those EQ kind of traits that are required, right?
Mhm.
And I think it requires almost like a focus group type of a setting where you get your customers involved at each iteration of the development and say, how does this look? What do you think? What would you change?
Yep.
And I think there's a tendency to become prescriptive and say, hey, we did
Right.
this, you like it, right? Hey, we got this new feature, you love that, right? And they're like, yeah, sounds great. And like they don't really care.
Yep.
And so anyway, yeah, I mean this is the hamster wheel that we're on when it comes to developing tech for mobility companies. But just going back to like the idea that I think we need to invest as much time and effort on the back end. And instead of me getting all these GDPR questionnaires, right, about how am I keeping data security secure, right? And I'm self-certifying all these things. Why don't we spend that effort on integrating systems and API implementation, which would take as much time for both of us. And supposedly the documentation already exists. So why are we actually sitting down and implementing instead of me filling out forms about how I'm keeping data secure with clean desk policies?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to see a lot more of it. Like, I mean, you see it, I'm sure too, but there's been a tremendous investment into the mobility platforms in every silo, be it a consumer, corporate, military, government. There's just like people outside our industry as well as those inside our industry see that there's a gap that needs to exist. There's a delta between what Amazon can deliver and what we deliver. And there's been a ton of investment to close that gap. And so while I'd say for the past 3 years, I've heard a lot of people talking about APIs and very little done with it. Now I think that we're going to see a huge acceleration in that. And especially with more of the consulting companies like the big four involved in it and other mobility consulting companies and really clients asking for it. I feel like that's one of the drivers. If the clients are holding up torches saying, we want APIs, like we want all of our data in one place, people are going to respond to that. And that was like Deloitte did a study a couple of years ago that found that was the number one thing that corporate mobility managers wanted. They wanted all of the data available to them. They also wanted transparency. They also wanted global service levels to be the same. But
right,
that need and want hasn't necessarily resonated into buying decisions. That hasn't forced people like Jack to change companies. And so, like, I think that is about to change because it takes it is hard to build good technology. It is not an easy process. It takes a lot of time and money. I think that we're about to start seeing it.
Well, what's happening is you're seeing a semblance of that experience, right? You're seeing the corporate mobility and the corporation requiring this access to data, and then the provider, the RMC, says, yeah, no problem. Yeah, we'll provide that experience. You have all the data at your fingertips. Well, and then behind the scenes, it's a whole bunch of people, going crazy trying to input this stuff, right? And a whole bunch of spreadsheets being sent to me asking for move dates that they then upload into their system and say, haha, it's here for you. And meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of people scrambling around the background frantically trying to put this stuff into the system, right?
Yeah. I think we all have, we've all experienced mechanical Turks in the mobility industry.
It's a mechanical Turk. Exactly. That's exactly what I want to say. It's mechanical Turk. Oh my gosh. Which then of course leads to the offshoring of the business because, right. So we got people chiming in here. Steve Whitecamp, Magic Beans. Yes, it is Magic Beans. Although I read that story to my kid over the weekend and it did turn into a beanstalk and there was a goose that laid a golden egg every day. Which Jack's father ironically owned before he was killed by the giant. So it was actually kind of retribution, him taking that back. So little known factoid on that. Dan Bagley, Simon Johns, Dan Bagley. Let's see. Hi, Benz, Amanda Peterson. We're making it so easy on people to say hello today.
Yeah, it's great.
Had a S. My dad loves me. I appreciate that. There was questions. Leia Saros, happy Monday from San Diego. Appreciate you. Michael Cadden, random LOL. Love a little context on that. There's a delay. So let's go to number 3 here. Number 3 thing we're We want to talk about COVID-19 setting records, baby.
Yeah, yeah. What fun. All right, let's bring it down.
Yeah, let's just. Oh, we. I feel like we were a little negative on the last one anyway, so I feel like this is par actually for the course. So COVID-19, I think, set a daily record. I feel like we thought we were done with this about month ago,
Yeah,
month and a half ago. We were like, yeah, the weather's getting nicer.
beautiful.
Flatten the curve, baby. Let's get the short shorts out, get the beach balls. We're going to Hempstead Lake, and now, boom, here we
Yeah,
are. 40,000 new cases or something like yesterday. Thoughts, questions, tears?
yeah. It's sad. It's I mean, it it sucks. It sucks for us as humans. It sucks for our industry. It sucks for our family and friends. It's just awful. And like I think as mobility people, we wanted doors open. We wanted things to start going again. And we're seeing a spike right now. The data that we've like PricePoint releases our data around the volumes like every week and generally on Tuesday afternoons. And we've seen over the past 2 weeks pretty sizable spikes in the number of people that are initiating moves, going to survey, and final pack. And I think that spike is going to continue. But in the United States, for domestic activity, I would expect that we're going to have I don't think it's going back to where we thought it was a month ago. Were you optimistic a month ago that we would be out of this by like maybe August or
Yeah, I
something?
was feeling it. I was like cautiously optimistic. And
Yeah. Now you're not, right?
now I'm like now it's not even like there's gonna be a double spike. Now it's like, holy F, we're on a double spike wave right now. We are riding a wave
Yeah.
of double spike. I mean, we just set a record. The second spike is bigger than the first spike.
Yeah.
And now it's affecting the most populous states in the country, right? You got
Right.
California, Texas, Florida, right? And then all the other states. There's only 2 states yesterday that didn't see an increase, right, from the day prior. So I mean, Michigan, we're fairly more conservative up here with these things,
Hmm.
but then you have people that are just like, hey, you know what, wearing a mask infringes on my right and whatever, and it's like social contract be damned. And it's like, okay, well, let's just
Yeah.
start running red lights while we're at it, see what happens, right? I mean, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. I feel like the American ideology doesn't really jive with you telling me what to do. Like we love freedom, we love our personal rights, and we care about the individual more than we care about the collective group.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And it's like it sucks as it comes to COVID. Like there's some great things about like individualism and great like doing great things and bringing everyone up around you, but like it doesn't work for this. And I think that we all need to find a little love and let's bring out the love. It's love and relo, right? Let's
Yeah.
let's talk about love for a second. We like wearing a mask, I think, is like a sign of love to your fellow man, like because you're not really protecting yourself. Like I have a full beard. Like wearing a mask does very little to protect me, but I'm doing it so that like I don't get others. And you know it just sucks because like from a company perspective, you know, we all have our CFOs that we go and we have projections, and we did catastrophe modeling 4 months ago, and we're like, do we have to lay off people? And I think I shared with you, we like when early March, I took a 25% pay cut. I asked Ryan to do the same, Neil to do the same. That's the executive team at PricePoint. And then I asked my entire team to take a pay cut on what they could do. And that is a hard conversation to have. But, we are very open about everything that's going on in the industry and in the world. And we're open about our financials. And they knew that was sort of necessary to give us the flexibility and staying power so that we were going to be here in 12, 24 months. And now, like, I feel like I was really, really hoping that we were going to be out of this sometime in August, and we could bring people's salaries up, and like it sucks. But that's where my head is. We're going to continue to reevaluate it. But yeah, that's all I got, Ben.
Yeah, I had to take a 25% pay cut myself last week, and that's really difficult,
Yeah,
it's a lot, and so, I'm dealing with that and trying to figure out my family. Okay, what does that mean to us, and what kind of changes, lifestyle or life changes do we have to make?
yeah,
Might have to get rid of one of the kids. I don't know. I mean, 25% haircut, right?
yeah.
Just draw straws,
All right, you don't have to answer this, but which kid do you like more?
Oh, easy, easy. My youngest. I mean, 100%. He's still chubby, so he's cute, right?
Yeah.
He's not nearly as sassy as the
Yeah.
big one. The other one throws stuff. I swear he's trying to actively destroy my home. And he already told me I'm the worst dad ever. So you know what? I think we're on the
Oh,
same page. Yeah, yeah. That's his thing nowadays. He's like
you're the
you're the
worst dad
worst.
ever?
That's
Oh
like I
man.
am the worst dad. I'm also the best dad. I'm the only dad you have. I mean, I'm pretty
Wow.
much. Yeah, so I wear a lot of hats in the house these days.
Wow.
Yeah, so easy for me. Yeah,
Sorry that you're gonna have to get rid of your oldest, but I mean that
yeah,
that is a 25%, like, and you're the sole breadwinner in your house.
yeah.
Like,
He's 3 years closer to being cash flow positive than the younger one. That's the unfortunate part. But but anyway, no. I mean, I love my kids. Obviously, I'm
yeah,
just
I
kidding.
know.
But
Obviously.
just kidding. It would have to
Yeah.
be a heck of an offer.
Oh, you're a huge family man.
I
Yeah,
am.
like,
I am.
uh,
But that's them up there. Yeah.
but no, it's a big deal. And like I'm very, very lucky in a ton of ways. But I also married. My wife runs media strategy at an agency for a couple very large, prominent clients, and she does very well. And that has allowed me to take an opportunity where I took like I cut my salary in half when I joined PricePoint, and
Mhm.
then another 25% on top of that.
Dude, you are what we call in the streets hustling backwards.
I,
Okay, you are
I
hustling
am.
backwards.
Like, it's
Pretty soon you're gonna be stuffing hoodies in envelopes for Move for Hunger, man. You're gonna be down the shore and stuff.
it's not going to be that kind of party. But like I had a dream. I believed in this. I saw a problem. I wanted to be a part of it. I love the mobility industry. And at my previous role, I was being encouraged actively to not do mobility because there wasn't enough money in it. So, like, you follow your heart on a lot of things, and I don't regret it for a second. But I'm really looking forward to not having to take a pay cut. And it's just I feel like with the rise in COVID, it's spiked. It just that horizon is off in the distance for not just me but my team, and I think a lot of people in our industry who have made sacrifices with furloughing for a couple days a week here or there, or getting a job loss. It's just a really shitty time.
Well, and so that brings me to topic number two, right? Startup life, right? Um, and I appreciate being so candid about it. I mean, I think we're being really honest and just straight up, right? And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. So I don't think we're out on a limb too far here. But
Yeah.
it's like these are cuts, that are being made based on a 3-month downturn.
Yeah.
So far, it's a 3-month downturn, but it's been kind of almost catastrophic. It's been catastrophic.
Yeah.
So now here we are. We're restarting the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger, badder than ever. And then so there's going to be another 3-month plus downturn.
Yeah.
And then maybe we peak out of this thing in January, although people are saying the winter's going to suck because that's flu season also, and just things suck in the winter anyway, not to mention Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. So then you're going to be emerging out of this thing in like weak months anyway. And so really like the horizon on this thing to me is not really until June of next year.
Well, like, that's one
Yeah.
Ben Cross
That's just
forecast.
one Ben's opinion.
Yeah, like, my opinion, I don't align with that. I think it's more, I like, the future for COVID hasn't been written yet, and whether or not we get a vaccine or some way to cure it, like, when you have it, that makes it, that drastically reduces the impact. Like, there's a lot of potential. So I don't think that we can and really should be projecting that far in advance. I think, like, if anything, we all need to be looking at more shorter timetables on, okay, like what happens if we're here or here or here, and making decisions based on that. I don't know, man.
So let's ideate here. You're heading a startup.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is really germane necessarily to startup life as much as it is to all of us. We're all in the kind of the same boat here. Although startups do have a unique set of problems, right? So, but we're all in a situation where we need to start generating revenue, right? We need to get back to being profitable with an albeit reduced and murky forecast.
Yeah.
And how do we start to pivot into the future in a way that gets us back to being profitable sooner rather than just kind of wait and see? What do we do actively?
Well, I don't know how much you can do to change the demand side right now. I think you can only change yourself. Like sure, you can continue selling, and Ben, I'm sure you are out there hustling every day, trying to drum up new sales and opportunities.
I could do more.
But we all could do more, but there's a limited amount of potential business, and right now that pie is shrinking. I feel like historically we as organizations have been overweight on, let's go find and get ourselves a bigger piece of that pie, as opposed to working on ourselves and making ourselves more efficiently, reducing our operating costs, making things run more efficiently in the organization. So the cost to manage each transferee drops. Like, I think that has been where I've seen a lot of effort go recently. COVID for us has been very interesting in that, we've been down 60%. 50-60%, because we're heavily skewed towards international.
Right. So borders have been closed, travel's been suspended.
It's been very bad for a revenue side on that. On the flip side of it, we make movers much more efficient, specifically international movers, and connecting them to their supply chain of origin agents, destination agents, freight providers. We drive a tremendous amount of efficiencies for them in managing, collecting rates, managing their supply chain. That has been historically a difficult, complicated sale, because we're not selling just to their rates team. It is an organizational change that they need to go through, and then they need to go out with us to get their supply chain to be a part of it. That we are having a lot of response to that right now. We've had more movers sign up with us in the past 3-4 months than ever before, and more implementations going on than ever before, and a lot of great movers, like Hildrup, great mover. They're Goslin, great mover. JK, great mover. Like big, great movers who are looking at themselves and trying to find ways that they can thrive, and they can adapt and thrive in whatever the new next normal is for us. How do they make their house? How do they get their house in order, and really benefit when we come out of this? And so I feel like we all can be doing that, and PricePoint's no exception. We've been doing that too. I've been trying to find ways to make my team more efficient. And one of our shareholders has a saying, "Don't use a cannon when you can use a slingshot." And so we need to learn how to work smarter, not harder, and identify things that I'm doing, Miranda, Ryan, Neil, like my team, like who are at a higher level. What tasks are they doing that can be pushed down, potentially outsourced or near sourced, or used, like someone who's making $15-20 an hour can do that type of work. I think we all have to leverage those type of opportunities to us, because we're going to be under constant pressure. And if we don't put that pressure on ourselves now, someone else from outside our organization or outside our industry is going to put pressure on us. And
Great point. Ben, if you're listening right now, go ahead and leave a comment, a question. I'd love to hear from you, the audience. We've had a few people checking in here. I'd love to take questions directly from you. Ben will answer them. One of us, I promise, will answer them. I do not warranty the results of those answers. But we will answer them, I promise you. So please leave a comment, a question. Let's see here. We got a couple of folks here. My dad says the death rate is very low overall. Ben, do you have a calculator?
No, and I don't want to start calculating COVID death rates.
All right, Ben is not going to calculate COVID death rates, but the good news is we have two Bens. So in the United States, there's been 2.59 million cases confirmed of COVID-19. There have been 128,000 deaths. So if I look at that, that is a death rate of 4.9%, which is make sure I did that.
Not good.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And then like, I don't want to talk about COVID anymore.
You know what? It was number 3 on the list.
I think so. And you know, so I've actually stopped watching a lot of the news. I use this app on Google.
Tell me about it.
Stay Focused. It costs nothing. It's an extension that you can install into Chrome. I highly recommend you do it. I have a good friend, Amit Vamori, successful CEO. He saw that he was reading news too much and distracted with social media. He set it up from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Block out Facebook, all the news applications, all the things that you inherently go to when you're feeling depressed.
What about LinkedIn? What about LinkedIn Live notifications?
Well, so I view LinkedIn as an extension of work. So I don't block that one, but Facebook, 10 to 4, I don't do it. And it's been a big help for me. But as a result, I am not getting all the up-to-date COVID information, and that I think is actually helping keep me sane through this.
So this is stayfocused.com.
Yeah, I think so.
And it looks like there's a Google Chrome plugin.
Yeah, if you go into Google Chrome in the extensions, or I can't remember what they call it essentially, but you can Google it within the Google Chrome app.
Yeah, great tips. See, look at that. We're just giving people tons of. You waste an hour with us, you save 30 minutes. Okay, that should be the new slogan.
That's a pretty terrible ROI, by the way, Ben.
Hey, you know what? It's COVID. You know that'll fly these days. Scott Williamson, hello, Ben.
Hey, Scott.
From Dallas. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Let's see here. We got some people voting for youngest children. That's great. Lisa Thomas, hello from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Snyder, Ann Arbor, Michigan, I believe. Lisa Barron says, I'm frozen. She told me that a while ago. Hope that's changed.
You're not frozen right now. You were frozen.
I was frozen.
What were you going to do about it? Like, were you going to go out and
get a blanket?
Your fiber line?
Yeah, what am I going to do? Marilee Brad, let's see here. Going back to the conversation we were having about data, adding Mark Lundgren. Hey, Mark, it's good to see you. Adding many times clients want the centralized data dump, but to hit the KPI targets, there is gray. More like provider tells us as client what you want to measure. Just got to chew that up for a minute. Right. Yeah. Simon Johns, Ben, the green walls, check shirt, and massive orange cup. I'm tripping.
Well, I wasn't notified, but for maybe, like you called me we talked at.
You at 2 to 4. We went live.
And you're like,
you had 17 minutes. You could have done
17 minutes. Yeah. But I was like in the green room with you for 15 of those minutes. I ran to the restroom. I filled up my water cup. I put on the
I hope that wasn't the same activity.
All right. So next time I know I'll get a glass. I'll look classier with a nicer shirt, and everyone will be happier.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Marilee Bratt, we said we want one-stop and data centralization, and also we need the feeds off into our system as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's like the fact that you're asking for it now, it's about to be delivered. I saw a pretty amazing demo a week or two ago that I'm not going to mention the company's name, but I was really impressed with their level of integration with the HRIS system, and there's just some really cool things coming.
I'm cool with that. I think that's great, right? If you integrate it into Workday, or if you integrate into, Equus or whatever, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
But what about integrating back into the providers? Like that's one integration. And that's, again, I would argue that's customer facing. What about your dozen or 2 dozen movers? What about your temp housing providers? What about your
It's hard.
DSPs?
It's extremely hard, but like the good news is that it's about to become easier. There's more. The movers are consolidating down towards fewer platforms, and they're all cloud based. DSPs are being managed or managing their CRMs and workflows through fewer systems. And like you talk with like any of those leading players, like who are in the DSP space, they all want APIs in with the RMCs and the platforms. If anything, it's been they're just, you only have X amount of development resources and you have tons of things you want to build. So am I going to allocate 2 weeks of development time to really integrate this between one? It's hard, but it's coming. I know it's coming. And I think that Mary Lee, the more that she waves her flag and says, I want this, it's going to happen.
Look at that. You just empowered Mary Lee. That's awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
Nancy Irvine says, love wasting an hour with you. I love wasting an hour with you too, Nancy.
Is it
Thank
wasting if you enjoy it and learn something? And I don't know.
AskStayFocused.com. I don't know. Am I on their list of prohibited activities? I don't know. Laura says, any number is not a good number. Agreed. I try to stay off the COVID news.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Laura. Thanks for popping in, Laura, to the 100th anniversary show.
Not really the 100th anniversary?
Not everybody could be there and be present for that. So I appreciate you making time for that. No, it was actually like a week ago or something like that.
And I didn't join it.
Correct.
Sorry about that.
Correct. It's okay.
So that was like a backhanded slap in my general direction, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a little slow.
It landed. Amanda Peterson, I agree. Integration is key and will become more and more prevalent to successful partnerships. I agree, Amanda. I think so too. And I it'll happen. It will. I'm just going to keep beating the drum. It'll happen. Yeah. This brings me to we're on the final stretch here. Okay. So that means we have time for just a couple more questions. Okay. So I hope you ask them. And if you don't know who I'm talking to, I'm talking to you. I want to go into the last topic that Ben has. Number one, the moment we've all been waiting for, PricePoint domestic.
I'm sure nobody's been waiting for it, but
a baby has been born.
Yeah, that's right. Like it's new. It's exciting for us. We started off purely as a tool for movers. On our mover to mover platform was designed for booking movers to connect to their supply chain, and then we built our portal for really relocation management companies to connect to their international booking movers and their international booking movers to their supply chain to make everything much more efficient, give transparency into pricing, eliminate the need for audits, make everything instantaneous. And it got great reception. We work with a lot of great mobility companies, and the feedback that we always got was, hey, Ben, this is great. We do like 300 international moves a year. When are you doing something for domestic? We've got like 2,000, 3,000 of these. And so we spent a long time just trying to figure out where we could add value to both sides of the fence here. Because ultimately, at the foundation, we are a mover-friendly company, and everything that we do has to be mover-friendly, or else we don't do it. So we spent a lot of time and realized that there's more moving options than ever before. You've got your 53-foot trucks in a van line. You got your independent movers. You've got your containerized moves, your alternative shipments, your micro shipments, and even local movers. And that is a whole lot of different movers that price things differently. And how can a counselor at a relocation management company be expected to know which is the best option? How are they supposed to know what the quality metrics on all these suppliers are and balance that with price and transit time and claims rates? And it's really difficult. So we felt that we could position ourselves here and make it extremely easy for the movers to manage and populate rates and have specific audience settings so the right rate goes to the right audience, and do it in a way that was really friendly for the moving industry and actually decrease their operational costs associated with it. And so that's what we've done. And by no means are we at the finish line yet. This is just the start. But like our North Star associated with this is we want this to be a really easy way for movers and mobility to connect. And that's it in a nutshell, Ben. What are your thoughts?
Have you had adoption from van lines, or how does it work? If a moving company says, "Hey Ben, that sounds great. I need more moves. Where do I sign up?" How does it work?
So it's really hard to build technology without a partnership, and we just don't do it. So we partnered. The premier partner for PricePoint Domestic is Bristol Global Mobility. Bristol's wonderful company. I truly love Bristol. They are wonderful people to work with, and they've been a great partner with us on the international side of the business, and they were extremely agile and gave us great feedback. So we felt it was a great partnership to go to market with. So we're in the process of implementing their movers, and going to start running moves through that system in the not too distant future. And we've had a lot of feedback from movers that they want to be a part of it. And so we've gone out and met with a whole bunch of innovative movers that have said that they wanted to provide their rates in the system and want to win business with this. We're doing a roadshow where if you're a mobility or relocation management company, we want to show you what we built. We want to understand where we suck, where this does not meet your needs, and figure out like how we can make it better for you. And so we've been doing that now for, I guess, about a month, and the feedback that we're getting is overwhelmingly positive. And so I'm excited about the future of the product. And ultimately, my goal is that in a few years, as I believe that the industry is moving towards adoption of these transfer managed relocation platforms. And my goal is that in a couple of years, no one actually uses this product, where we can just integrate into your platform and enable you to have your moving supply chain connected into it, where whatever the best user experience for your company is, that's what you use, and you get the data from PricePoint through it. I think there's a lot of opportunity, but this is a really good foundation and the start of something very exciting for us.
Cool. So basically, they're telling you, "Hey, we use these movers. We want you to integrate with these movers," and then that's kind of where you're starting,
Yeah.
versus going to companies and going to RMCs and saying, "Hey, these are all the movers that are in our system, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Don't you want to buy this and have access to these carriers?"
Mhm.
Now, what's the difference between this service and like a load board that, like, say, like a Parcel Corporation or something, operates?
So a load board or a bid board or something like that is inherently going to do a few things. So bid boards create a competitive environment at that time where a mover needs to go in and bid on that move that day and respond to it quickly. And then you have to get awarded it. That does a number of things that are negative to the industry. You've got operational costs associated with managing it. Then your time isn't free. I don't know how many bid boards you go up to but populate, but you've got to do that or else you're not winning those moves. It also creates an unhealthy environment where it becomes a race to the bottom, where you may not have volume right now, and the person who's bidding probably has very little to do with the CFO who's trying to run a successful organization and knows what your margins need to be. And so that environment creates a rush to win moves, regardless of whether or not you're getting a good price or not. So in our environment, it is not like that at all. You price strategically. You can update it at any time, but you don't need to update that to win a move. Your pricing for your lanes and locations is in the system, and the move is awarded to you based upon that. And we've heard feedback that people want the ability to reject moves. We've heard that perhaps we should have like metrics associated with whether or not people accept the moves and don't accept the moves, and that's part of the quality metrics. There's a lot of opportunity for growth there, but fundamentally, we are our position is we want to decrease the operational costs associated with this for everybody, and that's not possible in a bid board.
Interesting. All
What are your
right,
thoughts?
cool.
Like, because I mean, you operate in bid boards all the time.
I think this is one of those things where institutional knowledge comes into play, right? Where basically what you're saying makes sense. But what I found in practice is that it's different. So the bid boards that I've been on, they set a maximum price. And they say basically you're at an X discount, and that X discount is the floor for discounts, right? Now you can choose to go above that and offer an X plus 1%, X plus 2%, X plus 3%, whatever, to try to get a bid, to try to get the business. But in reality, every mover goes in there and does it at the maximum discount. They don't really tinker with the discount. So it doesn't drive people to undercut themselves. They all know what the price is and they all play by the price, and then they just compete on service. This is also what you see with regulated states, with moving in regulated states like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, California, Texas, whatever. About maybe half of them regulated. Is that when the state sets the price, then everybody competes on service. And so I think what actually is more likely to happen is when people don't know what the other guy is going to charge, that's when I think they start to undercut each other and try to, well, I don't know what he's going to do, so I got to go lower. I got to, if it's a blind bid, basically, it's like I write a number on a sheet of paper and then submit it to me face down, and then I'll let you know who gets the move. That to me, I think encourages people to really sharpen their pencil. Now, the flip side of that is I cross all the lanes at a point in time that could be, I could be accepting moves years from now based on those rates, or months from now, not knowing where my trucks are. So for me, the opportunity to go into a board and say, oh gosh, there's a California coming back to Michigan. Well, I got Joe Driver in California emptying out in 2 weeks. And I would really love this shipment. Normally, I wouldn't go out taking Californians to Michigan, but that is a amazing backhaul. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to bid on it, and because my quality scores are so high, I know I'm going to get it because I'm in the first tier, first quartile, whatever. And so I'm going to get it, and maybe I'm going to plug a little note in there that says, "Hey, pretty pleased with cherries on top. I really want this one," and they're going to give it to me. And so while, yes, there is a inefficiency of my time, which I think we overvalue, seeing as how I just give it away every day for hours on it. But that the efficiencies that are gained by my fleet, not having to drive 5 hours out of the way empty, or pick up a shipment that's not sweet for them, I think is offset. So that's my 2 cents.
No, it's a good point, and I think that what you're describing is leveraging efficiencies in the distribution of moves and filling drivers' trucks, and so that they're not dead hauling anything. Hugely important to our industry. There's a tremendous amount of unused space in moving trucks that it's not good for the environment. It's not good for movers' bottom lines. It's not good for the customer, and that they have to pay for that dead space in some form or another. So I expect that in the next few years, the APIs and integrations that we were talking about earlier, we're going to see that in the move management space, and understanding where drivers are, where new opportunities for buying, or where new customers have stuff and want it to go, and those systems will automatically process and distribute more efficiently. Like, nobody's there yet, but that's coming. And I think that what we've done is one step in helping that direction actually grow. I don't think that PricePoint is ultimately going to be the overall solution that solves this. We are one part of that overall solution, though. But you raised some good points. I think that there's also some downsides associated with that, but and efficiencies that can be gained, especially because what you're talking about is probably a smaller subset of movers that are looking at these rates. You said that everyone is operating at these rates and assuming the same levels of efficiency, that's, that's a very small subset. I would expect that as the moving supply chain opens up to, you have van lines, independents, containerized alternative, local and micro shipments, there's other efficiencies to be gained that I think that we can bring to the table a little easier than a bid board. But you have good, we both have good points, right?
Yeah. Steve Wedekamp, president of the California Moving and Storage Association, says California has maximum rates, not minimum, so it does not set the rate. Yes, Steve, you are right. I set for the California Max 4 tariff exam out in LA at the county courthouse, I think it was. Not the county courthouse, the county government office or whatever in downtown LA. I remember that, and they had a book this thick. You had to like look up the rates tables and the mileage tables or whatever. Yeah, I was saying that there's a minimum discount, and then from that you go up discount rate inverse. But yeah, I don't know, Steve. Do people undercut the California Max 4 tariff, and do they go under it, or they just kind of stick to it and just decide everybody's going to just do the same thing? I don't know. Maybe that's a antitrust question, so you don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
Yeah, probably. But I think most states like operate like that, where there's a maximum that can be charged, and you as a mover are allowed to charge anything that's appropriate underneath it. And with all the different methodologies, different movers have different costs associated with it.
Michigan, you have to charge exactly. Ohio and Indiana, you have to charge exactly, which is the states I'm in. Connecticut, I think you can go under. It's interesting. And a lot of these are old. Some of these states, the last thing about this, some of these states like Kentucky, right? In order to, I think Pennsylvania is this way too. In order to become a mover licensed to do intrastate moves in Kentucky, you have to file a public notice where they run it in the newspaper. And if they have any objections over the course of a week or two, then you are struck down and you cannot get your authority. And it's like, I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah, so. Let me Pony Express this form over to you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. The marketplace is very competitive, Steve says. All right, good, Steve. Awesome, Ben. We're running out of time here, but I wanted to give you the last word and ask if you had anything else you want to share with folks.
No, man. It's just good to see you. I think that you're doing an absolute amazing job. Like, it's so nice to be able to, after a stressful day, like on Friday, you had all the YP people there and getting to listen to Thomas and Christina. And like, it felt like being around friends. And like, I had some things to celebrate on Friday. I was having a beer and listening to you guys. It's great. So keep doing what you're doing, man. You're awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. It's a lot of work, as you know, as you've seen behind the scenes twice now. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you making time. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. It's a short week this week, but we have Don Hindman, the CEO of Johnson Moving and Storage, on tomorrow. Wednesday, we do have a panel discussion on the suspension of H-1B visas. So we've got some great people. We got Samir Kedekar. We've got Chuck White, president of IAM. We've got a couple of corporate practitioners in Stephen McGarry and Becky Woods from ADP. And then on Thursday, we are doing our White Fragility book club meeting. We got some great folks with that as well discussing. So, and then Friday we're off for the 4th. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you again, Ben Heller. Thanks to all the people that tuned in. Appreciate y'all. Take care, and assume positive intent when dealing with one another. All right, take care.